Well, I'm back on site. I went this morning and picked up a whole mess of 2x6s, just a ton of them. I forgot to film any of it, but I got uh, a whole lot. You'll see some of that, but I only spent $200. And I wanted to say too that I've updated my cost sheet for this whole project, and I'm going to leave a link in the description. Try to be better about that in case you're wanting to follow along with what I've spent money on. I've even added in lines for the tools I bought. I bought a few just random things. And so putting that in there as well, just so you kind of have an idea of what I've got going on. So I'm going to set up, I'm hoping today, I don't have a ton of light left, but I'd like to finish up. I've got 8 floor joists I got to put in. And then I want to square up this assembly and, tack it in place and put in some lateral supports, kind of on the angle. These taller ones, you're supposed to have it on 2 sides per code, even though none of this is being expected. I want it to be safe and secure. And so I'm going to set up on time lapse and just cut that. I guess I lost my speed square earlier today. It's like, I'm going to have to figure out how to draw a straight line and cut it, because I don't want to bring the chop saw and everything out here. It's kind of a pain, and I'm by myself per usual. So I'm going to set up. You'll see me do that. Well, I'm out of light for today. I'm going to check square on this and kind of square it up, which is hard to do with just one person. But what I'll do is put a screw in one corner and run my tape diagonally from one corner to the other, and then the other way, and just see how it is. And you know which way to kind of make the rhombus a rectangle. So I'm going to do that. I don't have enough light to film it, but that's all I'm going to do, and then I'm going to leave, and I'll be back tomorrow morning, hopefully. Well, I just got back from picking up this subfloor. I got 11 sheets of tongue and groove. It's 3/4. I don't know what they call it. It's not 3/4, but it's the same thing. But anyway, pretty good buy. I ended up spending $180 for 11 sheets. I just need another 10 sheets of something similar, and we'll be in business. So we're going to unload this and then load up the trailer and some more lumber, and then go see what we can get done on the home site. It is Tuesday morning. Yesterday was Monday night. You probably saw me last working until 10 o'clock at night, which is pretty good for the weather. It was so humid out here. I mean, I don't think I've ever sweat that much in my life. Felt like I was in a sauna or one of those trash bag suits or whatever. But today I've got help with me, and I'm going to be putting in subfloor, I hope. I'm going to start and check the diagonals again, make sure nothing's shifted on me, and then get to work attaching the post to the actual floor structure and put in some diagonals and all the things I need to do before we actually put sheeting on. So I'm probably not going to show any of that, honestly, because it would be the most boring time lapse ever, because nothing, you can't see any of it happen. But I'll put you back on and talk about the subfloor and a few other little details. So I'm trying to make sure that this is all level, and I put a string line one into the other, and I went through with the level, just kind of checking it out, and it dipped a little bit on that corner. So I raised the corner. Now I'm looking down the string line, and I've got a little bit of a gap, and it starts right there. But I think I need to shim these 2 posts. You can see the gap there. Boy, that joist is kind of gnarly too. I'll have to block it out. I don't know if you can see the gap or not. Yeah, there we go. I got almost 1/4 inch. That's more than I'd like, but it's easy to fix. So I'm going to put a shim under the hardware, between the hardware and the rim joist on this one and that one, and it should fix the problem. Well, right now so here's the big stump. I looked at the plans and figured out, okay, this is where the toilet is going to be, and that looks strange, I know, but the joist is right in the middle of where the toilet would be, and so I've modified it a little bit. I think I might go back later and put in some other supports, like when I'm plumbing. That way I don't have to. I have a ton of room to plumb it, like rough it in, and I'll go back and I'll add, 2 joists to kind of give it a little bit more, whatever. Because I know that's a massive hole, but it's just kind of how it goes. So I measured. I'm going to have a 2x6 wall here. I measured off that my 12 inches or 12 and a half with drywall, and then measured another 6 or 8 inches. 8 inches because I've got a doubled up 2x6 for that little girder there, what are you going to call it? And so we're about to finish putting this hardware together. I just wanted to show you that. And I've got one next to it. I'm doing kind of the same thing. It's not as big of a gap for the tub drain. So it'll be toilet, tub. I'm back on site, and we are hoping to put on the subfloor today. I got brave and drove up here close. The other day, my neighbor drove in side by side through some tall grass over here. It's kind of on the neighbors, but I don't think they're going to care. So that was helpful. Anyway, I'm about to get after it. We're going to lay our first row of sheeting, and I've got some new subfloor adhesive. I've never used it. It's like foamy kind. It's supposed to go a really long way. We'll see how far it really goes. But I pay like $5 a can for this stuff, and normally it's way more than that. So we'll see what happens. I'm about to lay down the first sheet, and I've got this new spray foam. I spent a minute and read the instructions. It doesn't make us anything too crazy. I've never used this stuff. I bought it used from people in the north side of Tulsa, and so I don't know. We'll see how this goes. I sat down, tested my first sheet just to see how it was, and I feel like I'm just a touch out of square, just enough to be a pain in the butt, but not enough to. I can't do any more anyway. I've kind of gone to my limits of flexing the front and the back to make it square. And so I might have to get creative toward the end of this, which, like I've said before, you got to be diligent when you first start it because everything builds upon everything else. And so I might have to deal with some out of squareness, but we'll figure it out. So I'm going to go ahead and put this down, probably time lapse it. We'll see what happens. I'm going to try another can. That one seemed like it was jacked up. I don't know. The way it came out was not what it looked like on the YouTube video. So we'll see. It's like it expanded and got real frothy and weird. And then I took another can, and he's shaking it over there off camera, and it won't even shake. It's like solid. So I might have bought some junk, which is bound to happen a few times, I guess. I'm going to shake this up and we'll see if we can do any better. Well, we didn't do so good this morning. I forgot to film
another section to kind of say what we were up to. But that glue was not working out. We got the trailer unloaded and put down all but 3 sheets of it, and it worked okay, but it was a mess. It didn't go as far as it's supposed to. And so now I'm on my way to pick up some new 2x4s, and while I was getting ready, somebody messaged me back about some more sheets of subfloor in the same area. So that's exciting, and it's a great deal. So we're going to spend the rest of the afternoon, rest of the day, picking up materials in 2 or 3 different locations. Oh, and I also got some H-clips for the roof decking sheets for the OSB. So all those things are awesome. I'm looking forward to getting the last stuff subfloor, because I made a mistake and thought I only needed 12 sheets, and it's actually 16. I don't know. I'm not good at the math, I guess. But anyway, we're going to go pick stuff up. We're back on site this morning. We spent the afternoon picking up new materials, and part of that was getting some new glue. This stuff we used yesterday, I think it had frozen or something. It still seemed to do what it's supposed to do. It just didn't go very far, and it was really weird. I don't know. So unfortunately, I'm going to have to scrape all that out because you can't really set it on top of that. But I'm going to do that, and then I'll show you the new stuff that I've got, which is more what I've used before. It's the stuff you put in a caulking tube. I was hoping this would work out for me because it's really easy to use. You just pull the trigger. A caulking gun kind of wears you out. Things I wanted to point out while I'm doing this, taking a break. I've got a sheet and a half left for this section, but the material I'm using, you're supposed to give it sort of a gap, and so some of this is intentional and some of it is just fighting the layout. Like, I'm not happy with that gap, but it's the best we could do. And actually it's a little bit high, like my foot catches it just, 1/8 of an inch. And so what I'll do is I'll go back with a belt sander or a hand planer and get it level. And luckily this is the middle of a bedroom, so with carpet and padding, it won't be too bad, but I want to make sure I can get it really pretty flat. But you've got to leave a little bit of a gap for expansion, and also the joints need to be staggered. So like, it's kind of like a brick lay. I can't get back far enough to show you. Let me go over here. You can see my joints are staggered. Every 4 foot is kind of the normal thing. Some of it I may just scab in toward the end when we do the other part of the house over there. But finishing that up, man, I have had a miserable time with subfloor adhesive. I think the lesson I've learned is not to buy it used, because who knows how long it's been setting. And so another little thing I was going to show you, I was having a terrible time squeezing this out of the tube, and I've seen guys before take and cut this stuff open like this, even when it's brand new and good, just because it's faster sometimes, and kind of scoop it out like you would drywall or whatever, to apply it to headers under door thresholds, stuff like that. Like, I've seen people do it with all kinds of caulking. Not just adhesive, but so that's what I'm doing, because I was losing my mind trying to, you saw probably earlier on the time lapse, I was taking forever to get it on. So what I've got, I just cut this open. It's a big tube. I've got a big caulking gun, but it's not working so well, and just putting it on there. And honestly, it might go on better that way. You might get better coverage because you can kind of go back and fill it in between cracks. Like, I've got stuff tripled up here because I've got a joint I'm not super happy with, and I'm actually going to go back and put some building hardware on the outside, and I might do some more too. I don't know, we'll just see. But anyway, I just want to give you an update of what I've got going on. I probably won't time lapse this, but we're about to finish these sheet and a half, and then we'll get on to laying out the walls. Last thing I wanted to mention is that I'm using ring shank nails to nail this off. And it ends up being 1 every 6 inches on the outside. And then, kind of that as you follow the lines. And so what I'm going to do, what I've done is just nail off the edge and try to note where the joists are with just one single nail. You kind of see that maybe right there. It's hard to see. And then I'll run a chalk line and snap lines and just batch process the whole thing, just hit them all at the same time. I found that to be more efficient. Anytime you can batch process, it's good. And you can't always pull that off when it's just you or when you're filming or whatever. But anyway, there's the nails I'm using for all the haters in the comments or whatever. And sometimes you'll put these down with screws and nails. Man, by the time this has adhesive and ring shanks in it, and I know there's going to be some spots where we end up cutting it out. It'll be a pain if there's a fastener in there. Trust me, it always is. Well, I'm about to lay out the front wall, or at least a section of it. I think I'll do half of it, and then do, just the other side of the door, and then whatever. And so I'm going to snap some lines after. I think I'm just going to roll with this first wall, snap lines after I do that, because it's pretty simple layout. But right now, I'm using my phone to look at this, so I can't really video, but here's kind of a rough sketch, and that's kind of comical. But this is such a simple thing. Everything is really, to normal measurements. It's not like I've got to go 93.5 to the center of the window or whatever like that. But that's kind of how you do it. When you read plans, it'll give you, it'll tell you measurements from the outside of one side of the plate of the house or whatever, and measure to this, and that's your center. And then you put your layout according to that, which is, it's super important in general, but I mean, really on a slab, it's the paramount, because I see all the time where plumbers have kind of missed their water lines and have to go back and, bust up the slab and replumb, or move their plumbing 2 inches one way or an inch one way or something. It really matters there. The good thing about doing it like this is, wherever that wall lands, I'm going to rough the plumbing in there. And there's not, the only thing that really, I've got to be diligent about is this bathroom spacing, because I need exactly 5 feet for the tub. And then I've got a 32-inch vanity, and then you're supposed to have 30 inches for the toilet, which if you have 28 inches, I mean, it'll work. It's just not, it's not what you should do. And so I actually am fudging that spacing probably just an inch or two. But there's little things you can do. I wish this closet was a little bigger. It's only 3.6 wide. You're supposed to have at least a 4 foot wide, but I'm going to design it in such a way where it should work just fine. I'll build it out to where it'll be good closet space. I had the room, so I thought I'll make it a walk-in. And then this one over here we'll do better with. This is the other bedroom walk-in closet. Same kind of thing. Pretty small laundry room. But there aren't many walls to frame. We got the outside walls, and there's this one at 12 foot in the middle. And then under it, I'm going to have to go back. I decided the other day, I'm going to pour another little pier under this to hold the weight, transfer weight of the beam that's going to be right here that spans. This will be a cathedral ceiling in the living area. But these little walls, they don't matter too much. This will be pretty easy layout. And if it's off an inch, well, actually, that's got to be pretty good, or I'm going to have to fur it out. And I've done that before, or have to buy a shorter bathtub or whatever. It's a pain. So I want to get this right at all costs. But I'm going to measure right now. I think I'm just going to focus on this front wall and figure out what my layout is for this window and this door. And then I think I'll stop there, then continue out. But my goal was to get this window centered in this bedroom, and then also spaced out in the house so that it looks good, looking at it from the outside. So that's what I'm going to do right now. I'll set this up and time lapse it, but there's not really a whole lot to see. You just see us raising a wall. Okay, so I've got my top plate and my sole plate, top plate and bottom plate laid out, and this is the front wall. What I did is I've got 8 footers, because I've got like 9 footers, but I should have brought some longer material. I prefer to have sole plates that are at least 12, but I forgot, so I'm just making do. And I don't think it really is going to matter in the day, because you stagger and you've got doubled up material on the top and the bottom is secured to the floor. So anyway, I did my layout. I'm on 16-inch centers. I'm about to go in and figure out the window and the door on this side. I ran
the end of that one wild. And then I started at 4 foot on this one just so I could stagger things. And that one, I think I'll frame half the wall and just let it run wild where the header is. But I didn't want any sort of joint anywhere close to where the header is going to be. So anyway, that's how I've laid it out. I've also got to cut some studs. They're 92 and 5/8. I had to go and kind of remember that. These are just random cuts. I mean, they're 9 foot plus, all of them. I'm going to cut them down 92 and 5/8, and that gives you enough room for your flooring and your drywall and all the other stuff. So I'm going to do that. I don't think I'll set up. I'll probably set up in time lapse and then maybe dig in a little deeper once I start doing the header for this window and the header for that door. Well, I've got everything laid out. I had to do a little bit of math and figure out how long to make my kings and my cripples. I'll show you his header detail after it's done and just kind of describe it. I'm sure there's a million other videos on YouTube that'll do a better job explaining how to do it. And there are a few different ways to do it. So, just consider that. This is, again, for inspirational purposes. Say it with me, and not whatever the other thing is. I don't know. I'm tired. But I'm going to set this up on time lapse, and you'll see me nail the first wall together. This is exciting stuff. Well, we're going to end right there. I'm really excited about all that we got done. Can't wait to get some more walls up. So, hey, thanks so much for watching. Please like and subscribe.